and I have admit I've made mistakes my first year in office. It's not, saying that I'm going to continue making those mistakes.
Regardless, add whatever line number it was for community outreach, $5,000, and the investigator mileage, take that back to zero, make that change. Those are the only questions I had about that. Now, if we want to turn to our pamphlet, let's go to revenues held in the treasury. As you can see, our actual revenues in the operating funds for 2011 was just a shade over $15 million. We project gas tax and a few other things with a 1% growth rate. There's a lot of variance in the road and bridge budget. For instance, income fluctuates with greater buybacks and things of that nature. 911 dispatch is going to see a little increase because we are going to have to begin to escalate our fee schedule. The revenue in the discretionary funds, the one to note is account number 51, the BRO fund. It was zero this year. It's $750,000 for 2012. That is a federal bridge program where we will show $750,000 of income to build bridges, but we will send the $750,000 right back out. We actually don't even handle the money. Neighborhood improvement districts, if you notice, the Trans-Canada pipeline is at the bottom of those in equitable sharing. But the neighborhood improvement districts, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or so of those we have, that income, as you can see, is falling off. The older those neighborhood improvement districts get, they pay off more of their principal, and eventually those start dropping off as they get paid for. So let's flip to the next page, budget requests. Pretty self-explanatory. The item we just talked about, we segregated out of road and bridge. We're going to have to make an adjustment in this too. At 4,937,624. But then we're also going to have to take the budget proposal, the 4,503,585 down by the same amount, I would say. Yes, because that 434 surplus in road and bridge is the accurate figure. Yes, 434,039. And that's consistent with sorting out the numbers. So looking at it that way, 168,826 as opposed to 545,000 last year. The discretionary funds, just something that you have to understand about the discretionary funds. Elected officials have the ability to spend these as they please in the conduct of their business, but you'll notice that in some instances the revenue is way below the budget proposal, and I want to explain that because, well, we're aware of the jail improvement fund. That is a tax that's no longer in existence. That is basically Mike's savings account to run the jail. Look on the recorder user fees, and you say, holy cow, 40,000 revenue, 117 in expenses. But what takes place is, and Dottie, if I'm wrong, tell me here, but Dottie goes along years and years, you save for several years, and then you get a big project. Dottie just did a monumental project. What did we spend, $140,000 on that this year to upgrade the record keeping? So in that particular year, when the project is, it's kind of like saving for a new automobile. You save and save and save, and then you spend it, okay? And then you have another project going this year, and then, you know, get it down to the level where it's at, and then Dottie's gonna save a few more years, and that's how she funds the
Technology, actually.
the demands on keeping up with the technology. So that will explain some of the reason why there is a deficit in that section. Neighborhood improvement districts, TransCanada Pipeline, once again, the neighborhood improvement districts, as we pay those down, we're accumulating the money, and then we just keep sending it out, and the amount that's coming in dwindles away, and eventually that is paid for. So budget over under revenue, very bottom line. Our worst case scenario that we expect to see is that there will be a $692,000 deficit. That same line last year was about $1.1 million. So we cut, we're $400,000 closer to being where we actually want to be. Next page is budgeted funds not held in the treasury. And these are very similar to the discretionary funds, but they're not held in the treasury. Collectors tax maintenance fund, supervised visitation, et cetera, et cetera. These are accounts that just report to the county. And once again, you know, some years, like the collectors tax maintenance, the expense will exceed the revenue depending on what Jerry's office, which is technology driven, is working on as well. Next page, 2011 activity in the unbudgeted accounts. Those that are held in the treasury, see, we actually accumulated a little bit. Special elections saw an increase in what they had, which was kind of intentional because we have a presidential election this year and several other elections, and we were trying to build a little cushion to offset the expense of a rather expensive election. Fletcher, what do you think the election expenses
For
are?
the total year, all four of them?
All four for the year.
Close to $300,000.
$300,000 that we basically just have to bite the bullet and pay for. The pass-through accounts are the Senate Bill 40, Fire District, etc. You know, we get the money in, we send it right back out. You'll notice that BRO account is there. We had $930 in that account that was sitting there for some reason. We moved it into general revenue because we do not have a bridge project going on right now. That explains how that ends up with a zero balance. So that's the 25-cent tour of the 2012 budget. At this time, I'll open up the floor for further comment.
I just want to make one real quick. On the revenues held in treasury, that page is the 2011 actuals. Those are balances out of Encode. And Encode and QuickBooks, which QuickBooks is reconciled with the bank, still are not matching. So just so they might change a little bit because of adjustments made to all of the system and everything.
Which page is that?
The revenues held in treasury, it says 2011 actuals. Those aren't my numbers. Those are Encodes. I just want to make everybody aware. So when you get my monthly report, if the numbers don't match, that's why.
So we don't have a year-end reconciliation complete yet?
New.
When do we anticipate having that?
Today, hopefully.
Okay.
It's because of all the adjustments. We fixed grants, and we fixed, what else did we fix, Deanna? Insurance, we tried to fix the insurance fiasco with the dental money being in Cobra dental money, so we switched all that up. So everything's balanced for general revenue, so.
Very
I
good.
just want to make you aware that that is not exactly what you're going to see.
Okay. Anyone else? Mike?
I'd like to say one more thing, and I know you guys have heard it every time I come in here, that I don't believe it's right that we're giving raises to some county employees when all of my people have taken 5% cut for 3 years now. My people haven't got a raise in 5 years now. And I keep getting cut on to the tune of about $1.6 million now for the last 3 years. It's a sad day when I look at this and see that Road and Bridge has gotten more money than I did. It's just, I don't think it's right. I think it affects the citizens of this county. And, well, I mean, we'll keep doing what we can, but we just keep losing officers. As you know, the jail is the one that's taking the money. There's nothing I can do about that, but it's my job to run it, your job to maintain it and have it. So we'll just keep going what we can, but I lose road officers all the time. Because with any budget cut now, I have to take off the road side. So, that's all I have to say.
Well, I think, I mean, we kind of dabbled with it last year, but I think 2012 was the year that the county commission and the sheriff say, we don't talk about our jail problem, we fix our jail problem. And I know you're committed to it, we're committed too. We fixed the jail problem, which is not our problem, it's not your problem. It's symptomatic of a lot of things. But I think that this is the year that, you know, we've turned over rocks, we've thought outside the box, we formulate the solution, and I think that changes the tenor of this discussion 100-fold. I want to be sitting here next year at this time having a conversation about how we have resolved that issue and we are making progress. Okay?
Okay.
Anyone else?
Yes. I gave estimates for the revenues as part of my job requirements to do, estimated the revenues. I use very conservative numbers. I don't honestly have any great expectations that revenues next year are going to be any higher than they were this year. So I just want to make a statement that those revenue numbers did get increased, and those are not my estimates. I hope your numbers are right, truly do. I also didn't recommend giving any raises due to the fact that the cost of the health insurance went up so high. And the county's still covering all of that cost for each employee. In my viewpoint, you know, basically everybody kind of got a raise because their insurance price went up and they didn't end up having to pay it themselves. You know, so based on that and the cost of the elections and cost of the external audit and other demands that there were on general revenue for the budget this year, I did not recommend raises. Not that the employees aren't deserving, they are. But that's just my comment. Last year, several departments came in under budget. That was possible because the expenses weren't on lines that they had any, it was possible because a lot of the expenses were on lines where they had a choice to spend it or not. In the case of salary increases, it's going to get spent. So I don't anticipate a lot of people coming in that much under budget next year either. So I'm a little bit concerned with this budget.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah, I just have a question as a taxpayer, that is, how did the commission get together and decide to give an 8% increase in pay across the board? I mean, is it just across the board, everyone that works for the county, or?
No. Is your 8% figure the health insurance plus whatever they're getting dollar-wise, or where'd you come up with the 8%?
Oh, Sheriff just said that, you just said 8%, didn't you?
No.
I thought you said they got an 8% raise.
No, what I said was they have an increase. My people have taken a 5% decrease over the last 3 years. No 8%. There are offices or departments here that got raises or planning on getting raises this year.
Right.
Mine is not one of them. I don't believe the treasurer does.
What is the percentage then?
It's all over the board. Some departments gave for instance, in Road and Bridge, it was a sliding scale, depending on how long you were here. It was 2, 3, 4, and 5%. Some people didn't give any raises at all. Some people got a flat 2%. Some people got a flat 3%. Some people gave a flat